Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at this 1974 brochure for the Ford Escort range. Hello and welcome back. Now if you're new to Quarterlight, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures of course, looking back at cars gone by, all about bringing back those memories, then please do consider subscribing. It's completely free. Anyway, back to today's episode, which was first aired on a Friday. We call those episodes Ford Fridays because we look at a Ford every Friday. Today, no exception whatsoever. We're going to be throwing this 1974 Ford Escort range brochure on the board for our viewing pleasure. So let's have a look at that now. So here we go. This particular brochure saying at the top there, take the Ford Escorts for real value, proven reliability. This particular brochure is dated February 1974 and features a very iconic Escort, the E, in a very iconic colour, isn't it? It's a beautiful car. We are also going to be looking at this as well, because this brochure also came with the Ford price guide for all the Fords actually, but obviously we'll be looking at the Escorts. This is effective for December 74, so it looks like somebody picked this particular brochure up late 74. So that's all interesting, good stuff. Let's have a zoom in on the image though, because like I say, it's a real iconic image, that one, isn't it? So there we go, I've just zoomed in on there. We've got a little bit of a pretend 70s couple there, driving to the countryside in their rather nice Escorts. But it's a beautiful one. Looks like we've got period accessories on this one. These sort of like wing mirrors, I don't believe would have been a standard piece of kit. That would have been some kind of optional extra. But I do like the E models. We can see it's an E from the little badge at the top there. And obviously we'll see this in better detail when we actually open the brochure up. But an iconic image, and there are a few of these still around actually. I've seen a few of these pop up at car shows. So obviously 70s Fords were pretty hopeless at defending against rust, but because it's such an iconic model, I'm sure people either preserved them or indeed restored them. I don't know, we're often talking about Escorts, sort of the sporty Escorts, but actually I think this is probably my favourite Escort. But anyway, enough waffle, let's open the brochure up. So here we go, we open the brochure up and at the top it says take the Escort Saloon. We'll start in here with the base model. It's a range brochure for the Escort, so we move up the range. So we start here with the super base model for real family car appeal, it tells us. We'll jump straight to the text, I think, and then we'll come back to these nice images. We can also see there is a number plate on this example, and it actually almost looks genuine, so who knows. But anyway, let's start with the text. So it tells us the Escort Saloon has such a lot of good, honest qualities going for it. Qualities are practical economy of space and real comfort, and overall value for money. Have a good look inside. There's no small car look about this surprisingly roomy interior. Slide mounted bucket seats up front, plenty of rear space for a couple of adults. Luggage space in the boot is another big bonus too. In fact, much more than the capacity you'd find in many other cars of Escort size, and competing with most medium saloons. Notice too the easy to clean upholstery, the washable headlining, the rubber flooring, and the design for safety door handles and window winders. All very sensible and practical for a family car. Now take a ride. A splendid suspension with a smooth as silk 4-speed gearbox makes it all very comfortable. And to add to your enjoyment, there's face level ventilation for cool air in summer and gentle warmth in winter. Other features not overlooked include the parcel shelf, 3 ashtrays and, from the driver's point of view, dipping rear view mirror, padded sun visors and the 2-speed windscreen wipers with floor mounted wiper washer control. The engine is a rugged, reliable 1100cc, maximum speed 83 miles per hour with a very economical fuel consumption. There's a 1300cc engine too, if it's more power you're after. This then is the practical, spacious, simply styled 2 or 4 door Escort saloon, basically equipped to keep everyone happy with a price to match. And it starts talking about the options at extra cost, of course. So automatic transmission with your 1300, metallic paint, heated rear window, radial ply tyres, disc brakes with servo, push button radio, laminated windscreen, inertia reel or static seat belts, fabric seat trim, opening rear quarter windows, sports road wheels, and we can even have a vinyl roof even on this very base model, so that's a little bit unusual. It says about the vinyl roof to be available from early 74 production. And what's the other little door? Oh, opening rear quarter windows are just for the 2-door, obviously. Let's move to the images. So there is the super base model Ford Escort in quite a nice looking red colour, 2-door. I always think they're a very actually attractive looking car, these actually Mark 1 Escorts. It's a shame they rusted so badly. When you see them in this sort of pristine condition, actually, I think they're quite a nice looking car. A bit of a married scene with the old, I don't know what this is all about, the cans and boots tied to the bumper. That doesn't seem to be a thing anymore, thankfully. And the number plate looks genuine. It doesn't look like it's doctored, but whether that's a real number plate or not, it probably isn't, to be honest with you, knowing Ford brochures. Let's have a look at some of the images though. The first image is the interior of this base model, and actually it doesn't look too bad for a base model. We've even got a little bit of wood in there, which isn't too bad. Bouquet from the wedding on the seat there, and then if I just manually move the camera down, it's kind of like showing you how much room is in the boot. The optional opening rear quarter windows for the base model 2-door, and a look at those simple seats. Moving on, and moving on in this case means moving up to your L for a few more extras. It says there, for that little extra comfort for your L, but not too much extra comfort. Let's not be fooled by moving up to an L. I remember these Mark 1s, this was late for a Mark 1 when we're talking sort of, well, the price list going all the way up to December 74, doesn't it? So these went from like 67 to round about March 75, so really the end of the Mark 1s, and I preferred the Mark 1s to the Mark 2s. Maybe that's just me. But we'll do the same thing. We'll have a look at the text, see what extra you get on L, optional extras, and then the images. So it says, like the feel of deep loop pile carpet under your feet rather than a rubber flooring. Well, I mean that would be a little bit nicer. Lost without a map pocket. Missed the usefulness of a rear quarter window that opens. Then you've at least 3 important reasons for liking the Escort L. We can give you quite a few more too. The extra safety of hazard warning flashes and reversing lamps, passenger grab handles, radial ply tyres that do a fine road holding job. Little extras maybe, but they add up to a big difference in comfort. All to be found in the 2 or 4 door Escort L. And of course, they're only extra to everything already discovered in the Escort saloon. With the Escort L, too, you can have either the flexible 1100 or the better performing 1300cc. The quality of a Ford Escort has been thoroughly tested in our many successes in rallies and races throughout the world, proving their toughness, reliability and their power of performance. I think that was always a clever thing for Ford to do, to throw these into rally, and otherwise I'm sure they would have been quite a forgotten car if they didn't do that in many ways. The lessons learned, the technical innovations are passed on to you, built into your Ford Escort. Our experience is your gain. So optional extras you can get for the L: auto transmission with the 1300, metallic paint, disc brakes with servo, push button radio, laminated windscreen, inertia reel or static seat belts, fabric seat trim, heated rear window, sports road wheels. And we can include flared wheel arches with that, and a vinyl roof. So a peep on the inside of the Escort L. There's a few little tiny extras in there, but we really can't see them in this picture. So still a very basic affair overall. I mean, we can see how basic it is by all the metal that's shown and how tiny those little door cards are. But let's have a look at some more images. So we get a rather nice sort of country scene there with a river flowing through it, and this rather nice Escort L. It looks much higher than an L because someone's thrown lots of accessories on there. So wing mirrors on there, obviously an accessory again. We've got those sorts of extra auxiliary lights under the bumper, and we even got overriders, so just to confuse the buyer when they walk into the dealership and find the Escort L doesn't look like that from the front, I guess. Also, the number plate again looks like a genuine one, but I really don't know. But I do remember these period of number plates in the UK. They had sort of like raised lettering on them, if I remember, although a lot of people seem to hate them, throw them off and put black number plates on them nowadays to make them, I don't know. It's a weird trend, but I prefer cars to have the number plates they came with. Maybe that's just me. Moving down, we got a nice little image there of those radial tyres. So standard equipment now, and a nice little wheel cap on there as well. And this one's even showing you a heated rear window, to think, oh, how nice, at least we got a heated rear window now we moved up to the L, but of course that is an optional extra. And then the final little image is sort of the steering wheel, so a nice little interior shot. But let's move up the range. So moving up the range, we move up to the XL, so getting a little bit fancy now, so for extra power and luxury. Let's read the text, see what extra you get, and have a look at the options. If you're out for performance and style, look no further than the Escort XL. Let's begin at the business end. Start with the splendidly built 1300cc engine. The figures speak for themselves. 0 to 60 in 15.9 seconds, 30 to 50 in top in 10.8 seconds, maximum speed 90, so it's not going to really excite you that much, and your touring fuel consumption is approximately 40 miles per gallon. Now to the absolute luxury of the XL interior. There's complete relaxed comfort in the deeply embossed upholstery of the seats. Real style in the door trims and heated rear window. Yay! A cigar lighter and vanity mirror too. Ooh, this is getting fancy. The instrument binnacle is fully equipped with easy to read speedometer, odometer, tachometer, fuel temperature and oil pressure gauges, and battery condition indicator. Everything at a glance. Big and business-like. Outside, the Escort XL is every inch as stylish too. Smartly trimmed rectangular headlights. So we went up the range now. We've now got these rectangular headlights which we'll look at, and then kind of like as the Escorts grew up throughout the 70s, that sort of rectangular kind of like moved lower down the range as well, but I always preferred just the round headlights, I must admit. Again, that's probably just me thing. Wheel trims, metallic bright rocker panel, mouldings, overriders, and an eye-catching twin body side stripe. Just going to move the camera down a little bit. The option of an automatic transmission for your Escort is just about the most effortless way to make light of heavy traffic, to ease the strain of daily driving. The Escort Automatic does the job beautifully. 2 or 4 door, There's distinction everywhere you look. So options you can get, so a centre console you can get as an option now, metallic paint, disc brakes with servo, push button radio, laminated windscreen, inertia reel or static seat belts, fabric seat trim, automatic transmission, and those 5-inch sports road wheels with flared wheel arches and that vinyl roof, of course. So here we see one in, again, a very iconic 70s colour. I do like this one actually. It is a nice looking car. Again, on an M plate. Again, we've got these wing mirrors on the wings, obviously. Is an optional extra. I guess they was really pushing the sale of those wing mirrors, although I'm not sure what's happened to this one. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's an optical illusion or has someone actually knocked that wing mirror out of line and they forgot to put it back. Something looks a little bit off with it anyway. But yeah, a beautiful colour. We get some nice sort of side stripes on there as well. It is also going to tell us that this particular model has got the fabric trim, and we learned, didn't we, in the options that that was an option, but fabric trim, I think I would have gone for that personally. Anyway, let's look at some more of the images. There it is at speed. Extra points if you can work out what this blurred image is here. I don't know. I'm struggling. It is just a little bit too blurred for me. Moving down, a nice little image of the 1300 engine, and there we go, a little bit of an image of what your fabric trim would look like. I think that is a step up for sure. Apologies, just going to move the camera. A little bit of an image of your auto transmission option. And a little interior shot of the XL. Notice a little bit of wood on the doors now. Yeah, certainly a big step up, I think, the XL. That's, I think, where I would be interested in from the XL up. But let's move up a little bit further to the models as your Escort owner or potential owner. These were probably the cars you aspired to own. So the 1300E in this absolutely wonderful colour, very iconic image, I always think. And then over the other side there is the Sport, another model that was very much sought after. Maybe the Sport is now more sought after, although the E was more expensive, of course. And I don't know, I always like the E just because it was something a little bit different, I guess. We'll have a look at the text and we'll come back to the images. So if you want all the virtues of Escort reliability and roominess, plus powerful performance, then take a look at the two-door Escort Sport or 1300E. Take the power, and that means the full facts and figures about the 1300cc GT engine. Specially prepared to turn out a great performance. Weber twin-choke carburetor, high lift cam, bigger valves, 4-branch exhaust manifold, all standard, and what a powerful punch it packs. A computerized BHP of 82 at 6500 BHP, and DIN 72 at 6000. Translates into 99 miles per hour maximum. Standing start to 60 takes 13.3 seconds. Yeah, it still sounds ridiculously slow, but this is 74, isn't it? So we can almost forgive it for that. That's in the 1300E, and 12.9 seconds in the Sport, and from 30 miles per hour to 50 in top in 11.4 or 10.7 seconds. Sold on performance? You should be, and all that goes with a close ratio gearbox, stiffened suspension, and useful fuel consumption. Don't know what it means by useful fuel consumption. Stopping power, front discs, rear drums with vacuum servo assistance all round. The interior of the Escort Sport is clean and simple, like the Escort Saloon. Outside, the Escort Sport has 5-inch sports, road wheels, flared front wheel arches, sporty side stripe and racy quarter bumpers. Now take the 1300E. inside and out, you discover there's plenty of extras going for it. No mistaking the black vinyl roof, the slim triple stripe along the body side, the bright metal trim of the sporty road wheels, and how about those halogen auxiliary lamps, the heated rear window and door mounted mirror. Inside there's luxury and comfort plus the fabric upholstery, the real wood panelling of the fascia, the instrument binnacle and doors. Notice too the deep cut wall-to-wall pile carpeting. There's even an illuminated light in the luggage compartment, all of the fancy. And what a boon is the special soundproofing that keeps down the noise of traffic. That's the 1300E for you in any of 14 body colours. Nice. I kind of always think about the 1300E in that purple, but plenty of colours to choose from. Two very handsome, fast-moving machines, the Sport and the 1300E. Options at extra cost. Yeah, these are more expensive Escorts, but they've still got options you can have. So the Sport, you can have metallic paint, heated rear window. Yeah, the Sport doesn't come with a heated rear window. Push-button radio, laminated windscreen, inertia reel or static seat belts, fabric seat trim, vinyl roof, and opening rear quarter windows. So it's kind of like almost going to those super basic models when you step into the Sport, because really you're spending money on that nicer engine and gearbox, I guess. So the 1300E is the more luxurious version, of course, so not as many optional extras, metallic paint, push button radio, laminated windscreen and inertia reel seat belts. So personally I do prefer the 1300E over the Sport, even though it's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit slower, I guess, but still I do prefer them over the Sport. I'm probably in the minority there, I don't know. It tells us this Escort 1300E is fitted with the optional push-button radio, we can't see it anyway, and those wing mirrors as well. Incidentally, the reason why it never shows the wing mirrors in the options is because that's an accessory rather than an optional extra from the factory, as it were. But certainly a nice looking car. Love the stripes. I think that is the colour to get it in personally. Let me know what you think about these. I even quite like the vinyl roof. Moving over to that Sport, which certainly I wouldn't say no to a Sport, and certainly they are collectible and the price is a little bit silly, of course. Again, it looks like we've got those optional wing mirrors. They're really pushing for you to get those, aren't they? They're really pushing that a lot. It also tells us this has got a push button radio as an optional extra fitted, although we can't see it, of course. Unusual colour combination on this one, so this light green, which I quite like, with a red stripe going down it. Red and green should never be seen unless upon a donkey, they used to say, but I don't mind it too much. Not a bad colours, just a little bit unusual, I guess. Moving down, there is the interior of your Sport. Gone is all the wood, and I guess we see the radio that is fitted as an optional extra there. Moving down, the optional fabric seats, and then finally the luxury of your 1300E with all that wood on there. Very nice indeed. And then that takes us to the Escort Estates. Loads more space with saloon comfort. We'll do the typical read through that, read the options, come back to the images. So it tells us 3 truly spacious estates for any family to spread themselves and their belongings around in. And the beauty of the range is the surprising comfort. The reason is that the appointments of each, the Escort 1100 or 1300, 1300L and the 1300 XL are similar to those of their saloon counterparts. The 1300 XL even has loop pile carpeting behind the rear seat in the low compartment, so sadly you can't get this one as an E. That would have been an interesting model, wouldn't it? Here's all the solid reliability, the little extras, the out and out luxury and performance already noted in the range of Escorts. The big difference in these estates is space, masses of it, even as a full 4 seater, you'll get 31 cubic feet clear for the luggage. Don't occupy the wide back seats, fold it down and there's bags more room still, adding up to a capacious 54 cubic feet no less. Now take the load space length, a huge 61 inches. So easy too to pile all the things in. The counterbalanced top hinge tailgate is 47 inches wide and the floor, carpeted in the 1300 XL, is a very handy 20.2 inches off the ground. From the mechanical end of things, you've the power of an 1100 or a 1300cc engine. Automatic transmission is available on all 1300s. I think if you're planning on loading up, surely you would have to go for the 1300. Exceptional estates, these Escorts, with all the room and enjoyment in motoring any well-laden family foursome deserves. 4 models, you take your pick. Options: auto transmission with a 1300, metallic paint, heated rear window, radial ply tyres, disc brakes with servo, push button radio, laminated windscreen, inertia reel or static seat belts, fabric seat trim, centre console. No note of any sort of rear wash wipe though. So then here is your first example in rather lovely metallic blue. That's kind of like, I never really think about metallic blues as being 70s cars. I always think about them being more early 80s colours, but I like it. It looks good in metallic blue. I don't know. I remember seeing one of these estates in metallic blue actually. Again, it starts talking about a push button radio is fitted on an option on this one, and wing mirror accessories on here as well. Apparently this is the L, and a bit of a chance to see the rear reversing lights on the L, sort of like hanging off there as a bit of an afterthought. Top images there are again the L, this time in yellow, and a little bit of a interior shot of the L also. This little centre image though with the family is apparently the XL, so a little bit nicer. It shows us the optional radio for the first time, a bit of a clearer shot, and the red example there is quite simply the base model, the 1100, not even an L. And then that takes us to the back page and all the technical specifications, so we'll have a look through that and then we can see the sort of the code for the brochure. An interesting little heading at the top here, taken all in all, including a grand total of 10 models, 14 paint finishes and 4 colour trims. Is it any wonder Escort owners have something to boast about? So here we go. Escort specifications: body, steel integral construction, safety glass all round, doors have anti-burst locks, single tone finish paint, separate luggage compartment in saloon models, using usable capacity 9.6 cubic feet, overall capacity 13.6 cubic feet, spare wheel housed in boot, 9-gallon fuel tank. Now I'm not sure I'm going to read every single word on this, but certainly you can pause the screen if you do want to look at more on the specifications. Starts going on about the Escort estate then, with the capacities we've kind of like touched on already. Doors available, 2 or 4 doors on the Saloon L and XL models, 2 doors on the Sport, 1300 and Estate models. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I always think it's weird having a 2-door estate, but there it is. I quite found them interesting though, the Escort estates, with that long side rear window, I must admit. Transmission is a 4-speed gearbox, synchromesh on all forward gears, floor mounted of course. Brakes, drum brakes all round for the Saloon L and XL. Front disc brakes with servo assistance all round on the E and the Sport, and also the 1300cc estate models. But yeah, drum brakes all round, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Steering rack and pinion, turning circle 29.2 feet, number of turns lock to lock 3.5, suspension front independent coil springs, McPherson damper struts, rear semi-elliptical springs with hydraulic double action shock absorbers. It starts talking about the different sort of wheels and tyres you could get. The standard exterior equipment for the saloon: 2 sealed beam headlights with combined side lights, separate direction indicators, twin tail light assemblies incorporating direction indicators, brake lights and reflectors, rear number plates, illumination light. Interior equipment standard for the Escort saloon: speedometer, odometer, fuel gauge and water temperature gauge, warning lights for alternator, oil pressure, main beam and direction indicators, 2-speed windscreen wipers, direction indicators, main and dip beam, headlamp flashers and horn controlled from stalk. Mounted on the steering column: ignition, steering column lock, foot operated windscreen washer wiper, row of floor and boot mats, individual slide mounted front bucket seats, safety padded steering wheel, safety style door handles and window winders, push button door locks, dipping rear view mirror with breakaway stem, ashtray and fascia, aluminium scuff plates, face level ventilation system, vents in fascia combined with demister nozzles, 2-speed heater, demister fan, and rear ashtrays in side panels, 2 padded subvisors, full with padded front parcel shelf, door operated courtesy light. And then that moves us on to the engine data. So essentially 3 engine choices: 1100, 1300 and 1300 GT for those top models, the Sport and the E. Capacity 1098cc or 1298cc engines. 0 to 60 times 21.1 seconds for the 1100 sounds astonishingly slow. 0 to 60 time. The 1300 moves that to 15.9 seconds, and the 1300 GT starts sounding a little bit more reasonable with a 0 to 60 of 12.9 seconds. Top speeds: 83 for the 1100, 90 for the 1300, 99 for the 1300 GT. Fuel consumption approximately 43 miles per gallon for the 1100, 40 for the 1300, 35 for the Escort Sport. Your typical thing you find in these brochures, these sorts of dimensions, but interestingly underneath that it says the quarter window channels on all Escorts are now black instead of colour keyed. And it starts talking about Ford Sure, warranties, etc., seat belts, performance figures, blah blah blah. Based on whatever Ford said it was, basically, and also the usual quotes of we can change things at any time we wish to do so. So it's not really worth going through all that. I'll just quite simply zoom into the bottom here. Which starts talking about it's published by the Car Merchanting Department, Ford Motor Company Limited, Brentwood, Essex, designed by Parlour Wood Limited, printed by Hunter Print Group Limited, Radlett Hertz. Date on the brochure Feb 74, and a little Ford logo there. So there we go, the Ford Escort range for 74. But like I said at the start, there's one more treat for you. Let's have a quick look at the prices. So yes, we do have a little bit of a Ford price guide, effective 18th of December 1974. And then if I just zoom in a little bit further, we do see that we've got a dealer stamp there for County Antrim. Interesting. And it also says Ford prices include delivery. Let's open that up. So as you can see, this particular price guide for late 74 isn't just for the Escort. So we can see we've got the Cortinas, the full range of Fords at the time, essentially. Because if I actually throw the price list to the ground, if I actually turn the price list over, we can see we've got the Capri 2 and the Console and the Granadas there as well, but we're concentrating on Escort, of course. So this Escort range starts with the 1100 Saloon 2-door at what seems quite a reasonably priced £1,296.81. And obviously we move down the range and we pick whatever we want, so I'm not going to read every single price on here, but we can see prices are increasing to the extent when we get to a 1300 XL we're up to £1,485 for the 2-door version. Moving down still further, the Escort Sport with that 1300 GT engine is £1,470.25. But I really want to see the E model, which is right down here. So the 1300 E 4-door, £1,713.56. So it certainly was a big jump up to the E, even when we're considering, you know, how much extra it is from the Sport. So 1,470 for the Sport, 1,713.56 for the E. So it was certainly an expensive car in its time, that E model, but certainly, like I say, quite iconic, particularly in that purple colour. We can also see the estate cars, so your most basic estate, your 1100, £1,457, moving all the way up to your 1300 XL estate at £1,670.51. Certainly the price of the estates creeped up there as well. Also showing some of the extras you can get, like static seat belts, £14, inertia reel seat belts, £22. We've also got some factory options, £127 for the auto transmission. And it looks like we can also get an auto transmission for the 1100. Oh, okay. That is a little bit strange, isn't it? So, first of all, it says auto transmission, all 1300 models except the Sport and 1300E, £127.68. And then rather wheezily, it says auto transmission for the 1100 Saloon. Price includes the 1300 engine. That's a little bit weird. Metallic paint was £10.79. Disc brakes with servo, £26.31. I'm sure that would have been worth going for that option, I would say. Your centre console for the XL, £7.50. Push button radio was £58.10. Doesn't sound much, but that's quite pricey, I think. Moving down, fabric seat trim, £24. Fabric seat trim for the XL, £10.79. Opening rear quarters was £11.26. Heated rear window was £21.84. Your vinyl roof was only £21.68. That seems pretty reasonable. Tell us it's standard on the 1300E, of course. And a clear laminated windscreen, £23.50. Just compare those prices with the most expensive Ford at the time. The Ford Granada Ghia Coupe 2-door, £4,257.93. So there we go, that takes us to the end of the episode, and quarterlights and the Ford Escorts for 74. Sorry the episode has gone a little bit longer than normal, but quite often on these more detailed reviews of these brochures, that's just how it is. But hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you're at this point and you've not already subscribed, please consider doing so. It is free, and obviously you like the channel if you're watching at this point, so thank you so much for sticking around. We'll end by saying, please do take care. We'll see you very soon, of course. All the best. Goodbye.